think we've ever sung 4 times in a row for chapel, but I don't remember when we've had 3 madrigal singers in a row giving chapel, and I'm happy to say the madrigal singers seem to be proud enough of what they do that they seem to always want their group to perform with them, and I'm happy to oblige. We're going to do an arrangement of the song I think you'll all be familiar with by a former slave trader turned Christian. The song is Amazing Grace. Our soloist is Xan Marsella.
Xan Marsella.
I love watching TV. Some of my earliest memories are being able to stay up late on Thursday nights to watch Survivor with my dad. As I grew older, my dad and I started watching many other shows together, like NCIS, Burn Notice, and Suits, which became our new favorite. Watching these shows together was one of the many special activities my dad and I did, which also included making bread, comparing our strides on the beach, and my dad teaching me more advanced math, like square roots, when I was in the 2nd grade. Yeah, I was kind of a nerd. But as I grew older, these special moments became more and more spread out. I completely underappreciated my parents. I go to a boarding school, so over the past 4 years, I've only spent a fraction of my time at home. Even then, I've spent the majority of my time in my room rather than interacting with my parents, especially when I was at my dad's house. I normally just went upstairs to watch TV alone instead of downstairs with my dad. Now I'm going to reenact the moments that led up to the event that changed my life forever. June 14th, 2013, 5:17 p.m. Text message. Me. We are gonna lock the side and front door. Do you want us to leave a light on? June 14th, 2013. 6:31 p.m. Text message. Dad. Just saw this. No problem if you left. June 15th, 2013. Around 9:30 a.m. My mom wakes me up. Mom. They can't find your father. I just have this feeling that something is horribly wrong. June 15th, 2013, around 11 a.m. My mom answers her phone, pulls over to the side of the highway, and I know. They found him. Well, they found his body. My dad was gone forever. That weekend, my dad had left early on the morning of the 14th to go to a sailboat race in Block Island called Off Soundings. This is a race he had sailed about 12 times before, out of the over 300 races he had sailed in his lifetime. This was just a normal weekend in the summer for both of us. He would be away for 2 to 3 days, and I would just stay with my mom during that time. No big deal, right? Well, obviously this time was different. I didn't even say goodbye to my dad. That morning, he left before I woke up. And the night before, I went right up to my room after dinner. At 10 o'clock, I watched Suits alone, while he was probably watching that same show downstairs. The last words I said to him, through any form of communication, were, "We are gonna lock the side and front door. Do you want us to leave a light on?" And I didn't even respond to him when he replied. The thing is, that if you were sitting here today, and I had not gone through this whole experience, I probably would not have thought twice about not responding. That was just how I treated my parents. They were always calling or texting me, and I was always replying with the absolute minimum amount of communication I could. I completely underappreciated my parents. I never thought twice when they came up for one of my games or performances, or when I called one of them at any time of the day because I needed help with something. I used to think it was crazy when other people my age showed how much they cared about their parents, in public or on social media. I thought, everyone has parents, so why highlight them on Facebook, when instead you can post, like my status through TBH, right? I thought that social media was for showing off your spring break pictures, counting how many people wished you a happy birthday, or other ways to make yourself seem cool to your friends. I always looked down on people who post about their parents. I couldn't believe that they would profess to the whole internet how great their mom is, or how happy they are to have the best dad in the world. Maybe I just took my parents for granted, and thought that all kids had 2 parents who would do anything for them, so it didn't need to be posted about. However, right now, I would give anything to be able to post a picture of my dad and I in the chapel after my speech. Well, since I can't do that, I'm going to share some other things about him. First of all, his biggest hobby was racing sailboats. No, not the 2-man boats that Tabor sails, but 30 to 40-foot long boats sailed by a crew of 6. He's been sailing since before I was born. Sailing was such a huge part of my family's life, even my mom used to sail. I mean, I basically grew up with the yacht club that they were a part of. People that I barely recognized always come up to me when I'm with my parents and say, "Hey, I remember you when you were a baby sitting in your car seat while your mom manned the duck stop," which was a little shack at the yacht club where the sailors could get something to eat or drink after the races. So what is my point in telling you all of this? Well, on the night of June 14th, my dad was preparing to race the next morning. He was on Block Island with some other crew members and returned to the boat that they were going to sleep on at 1 a.m. At 7 a.m., the owner of the boat woke up, and my dad was no longer there. That is all I know. What we assume must have happened is that he got up in the middle of the night and fell overboard somehow. My dad, who I basically only knew of as being on a boat came to his demise by falling off the float. That shows me that you can never plan for the unthinkable. My dad always spent more time on water than on land. He was an excellent swimmer. I even remember him teaching me how to tread water and conserve the most energy if I was ever in an emergency. But the water was rough that night, and in those kinds of conditions, no one is safe on the open water. I know you've all heard a million times that you shouldn't take anything for granted, you should live each day to the fullest. Believe me, I also used to roll my eyes at the sob stories. I would hear people talk about these horrible things that happened, but I found some way to dismiss it. I thought, it would never happen to me. But it did. I always used to silently mock people that expressed their love too much. Maybe this is because, as I was growing up, I was taught to be a strong person and to not let anything bother me. I even tell people now that I don't feel emotions, because for me, it has always been easier to not get too attached than to get hurt. Because of this, I usually don't tell people how I feel towards them, because I try not to feel. I've tried my hardest to detach my emotions from my actions. My goal has been to get through life without becoming vulnerable, because I thought that it would help me in the long run. I thought that to be cool, I had to not care about anything and just do whatever I wanted. I avoided confrontation at all costs. I just preferred to deal with my problems myself and not tell people what was bothering me. I've now realized that showing your emotions is not a bad thing. Sharing your emotions can set you free. It can allow you to move past difficult times and grow as a person. Sharing your negative emotions with people can release the toxicity that they cause in your body and help you find a solution to your problem. Sharing positive emotions, on the other hand, not only make you feel better, but can also brighten up someone else's day. So I give you this clue. If there is someone in your life that you could not live without, tell that person. If there was someone whom you have always respected or thought was really cool, tell that person. If there's someone you always wanted to get to know, introduce yourself to him or her. You never know what can happen. Life is way too short to not let people know what they mean to you. You don't know what can happen tomorrow. You don't even know what can happen in the next 5 minutes. You never know what moment will be your last moment with someone. So make it a positive one. Allie Dawson told us in her chapel speech to smile at the little things in life. But I challenge you to go one step further and tell that person that they made you smile. Show your appreciation for the wonderful things all around us. It doesn't have to be in some sappy long conversation, although it can be. Simply putting a sticky note with a nice saying on someone's binder, buying your friend Duncan, or walking into class with a smile shows that you care. Seniors, we have about a month and a half left at Tabor. Don't go through this time without telling the people in your life what they mean to you. So let me start it off. April 10th, 2014, around 10 a.m. Me. You've taught me so much about life, and I miss you every day. I love you, Dad.